Listen, I know it's a little dark right now where I am, but let me share this with you. You never know who you are entertaining, or shall I say, whose presence you may be in. So it's always best for you to consider the way you respond, or the way you I like to say that reacting is different from responding, right? Because acting is a verb, and we can react to things, meaning if someone acts some kind of way towards us, okay, we can react, right? That same type of disposition, that same type of mannerism, those same types of characteristics. But instead, we'll choose not to react, but respond. And responding, in my opinion, is different than reacting. And maybe I'll make a video about that at a later time, because this video is to encourage you to be mindful of your presence around people, because you never know whose presence you may be in. Okay, you never know. Okay, and so while you may be having a not so good day, right? Sometimes I've learned, even number one, let me tell you about me. When people ask me, how are you? I intentionally respond, I am well. And I'll tell you something about that, because I feel that I made it thus far. I am well. And it might not look too optimistic right now, but I'm going to be well. And this situation will be well. But I tend to respond, I am well, because I am well. Okay. And so I wanted to share this. I'm no multimillionaire yet. You're no multimillionaire yet, or you might be. See, that's why you never know. You never know whose presence you may be in. But I'm gonna tell you something. I tend to not ask people how they are doing very casually, period. Whenever I ask someone how they are doing, I always wait for the response. And based on how they say it, I will sometimes respond to that response. So if I say, hey, how are you? And someone says, I'm fine, right? To me, that response isn't, I'm fine. And so I begin to ask another question. Are you sure? Are you sure that? And so just to, I say that because sometimes people just haphazardly say, hey, how you doing? Don't even wait for the response. They're walking down the hallway or down another aisle, and not truly intentionally thinking about the response. So I want you to be intentional, right? If you ask someone how they are doing, I want you to pause, listen to their response, and then be led based on how they respond, because verbal cues are great indicators, and nonverbal cues are great indicators as well. A verbal cue means if I say, how are you? Okay, right? So that verbal cue is okay with no elaboration. Okay, why aren't you great? Would be my response. Or what would make your day better? Or right? Or that, you have me feeling okay now that you've said that. So look, you have to shed some positivity if you have it, right? So that once that conversation or that greeting has ended, that person is in a better place, right? And then the nonverbal cues are just that: facial expressions, body language, shrugging of shoulders, head held down, right? And so let's be mindful of how we respond. And then I wasn't even planning on talking about that. What I wanted to really highlight is you never know whose presence you're in. Do you know that you can be in the presence of a multimillionaire, or you could be in the presence of an entrepreneur who's looking for someone to help with their marketing strategies? You could be in the midst of the presence of someone who is capable of funding your next bright idea, who's ready to partner with you for your next initiative. You never know. And so it's imperative that you're mindful of your responses. Okay. And so I was recently in a store just to pick up a few things, and I could tell. I asked a question. I said, "Excuse me, where is this skirt in this store?" And the lady said, "Somewhere over there, if we have any." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it." She didn't say anything. I say that because she didn't know whose presence she was in. I'm not tooting my own horn, right? But by the time I left there, I was able to put a smile on her face. And not only that, she was a little bit more pleasant. And so I responded instead of reacting. Another thing is something to consider. Today, I was afforded an opportunity in the office to meet some high-level executives. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm in a room with people whereby I am a professional person. However, have you ever felt like you were in a space, however, you weren't prepared? And I wasn't in the room to present. I wasn't in the room to share any insight. It was a simple, "Hi, this is Ebony, who you've been communicating with. I just want you to add a face to the name." And that's what I did, right? And so I walked in and good afternoon, shook hands, smiled, "A pleasure to meet you, congratulations on your new appointment," this, that, and the third. And at that very moment, I thought to myself, and because I was unaware that I would be called in for an introduction, I knew that the meeting was transpiring, but I didn't know that I would be welcomed, okay, by my supervisor to come in and meet these individuals. And so it was the case. And in my mind, I thought to myself, Ebony, you don't know whose presence you're in. These people hold a substantial place within the city. And I thought to myself, how could you have prepared yourself better? How could you have prepared yourself better for an introduction? And so, although there was no preparation necessary because I wasn't speaking, I wasn't relaying or sharing information, I said to myself, Ebony, you have to take the onus, the responsibility, that is, to look up different information about these individuals who will enter this department, so that if you are called in, you are able to not only give an introduction, right, or meet them, you're also capable of highlighting some, maybe their mission statement, maybe an endeavor that they've recently embarked on, or congratulate them on a recent award or something of that nature. And so let me tell you that you never know whose presence you may be in. And so if you have the ability, perhaps prepare, right? And so I'm going to do a video about an elevator speech. But an elevator speech is a very short, succinct introduction about yourself. If you were stuck in an elevator, let's say with whomever, right? It could be your favorite business executive. It could be a celebrity. It could be a branding company that you're infatuated with. It could be a minister, a pastor, a prophet. It could be anyone, right? And think about it. In an elevator, you only have a couple of minutes to give a brief but very succinct introduction about you. Not too much, because you want that individual or that person to want to know more about you, but just enough where it captures who you are. And so I'll do a video about an elevator speech at a later time. But I'm telling you, it is definitely necessary to be prepared, because I believe that opportunities will manifest this year where you will be able to identify and highlight some of the things that you are working towards, and people will partner with you because of your vision. And it doesn't matter how small or how big, it is your vision. And so it will be done. And I believe that God is sending people our way to partner together. And so be ready. Be ready. Respond. Don't react. Be prepared. Okay? And just live intentionally. Now that's all I wanted to say. You don't know whose presence you may be in. And if given the opportunity to give a brief synopsis of who you are, prepare an elevator speech, okay? But I'll do a video about that at a later time, all right? So I want you to go on and live a positively productive life and live it on purpose. Until next time, later.